guest for Diaspora Link today is Swinburne Augustine. Swinburne, a very special good morning to you.
Good morning, Alex. How are you doing?
Very well. Probably I should have said Dr. Augustine. That would be the right formality as we get started.
All right.
Good. I'm here in Dominica, as I promised you I would have been, and Pa Ben is not going to join us this morning because he is in St. Lucia as we speak. So I'm very, really happy to be here. Actually, Kimara Ito, who normally sits on this chair, has asked me to sit in for her while she looks on, and then we have this little chat for the next 15 minutes. So thanks for joining us on the program this morning, Dr. Augustine. And basically, I'm not sure whether 15 minutes is enough time, so let's get right on the way with it. Tell us a little about Dr. Swinburne Augustine.
Well, Alex, good morning and good morning to all your listeners. I've been one of those shady boys, right, who made his way from Davis to Roseau to SMA. And from SMA, I joined the Royal Bank, worked there for about a year. And then moved from there to the police force, where I stayed for 5 years. Went to the U.S., went to St. Thomas, then joined the Army, the U.S. Army. Stayed there for 8 years, then went to college. And from there, it's just been all uphill and downhill, right? It's just a long journey.
Okay. I'm not sure whether you had this plan for your life growing up as a Daly's boy. I mean, did you ever dream of the pattern or the path that your life took? Or how and when, probably I should ask, you decided to take the path that you actually now on?
No, it was a strange thing. Because, every policeman I know, most of us, as a matter of fact, just wanted to be lawyers. So that was my plan at first. But then it changed after being in the Army and being in the medical field. And I wanted to go on and study science because it started to intrigue me. Just understanding about healthcare and understanding about caring for people started to change the way I thought.
And when did you first get this bite of the cherry in terms of the liking for science? Did something spark it in you?
Yes, it was in nursing school. I started to realize that, science is not just that at all. It's really easy if you put your mind to it. And the one good thing I know is that we have very good teachers in Dominica. I mean, we didn't have all the books and everything else, but we had teachers who knew what they were talking about and who made difficult subjects seem easy to them.
All right. So, but then you didn't just stay there. I mean, you went to the ultimate top because you're a scientist now. I mean, and you're involved in research work of the highest pedigree, a microbiologist, immunologists, and the likes. I mean, you work with the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency of the United States of America. I mean, does it get better or bigger than it is with you right now?
Well, it can, but I think what I'm doing, it's really something that drives me, because there are three things on the face of time, three things, let's just say that way: the water, air, and the land. Without clean water, without clean air, and without your land being uncontaminated, there will absolutely be no life, right? So the mission of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is to protect human health and the environment. And when I do that research, my research is primarily waterborne, foodborne, and airborne research. to ensure that we can see when people are being exposed to harmful environmental pathogens. So that kind of drives me because it's more global in nature, quite unlike being a physician where you are localized in most cases. Here we are doing research that affects the whole world.
Okay.
So that's the passion.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask about that. Although you work with the U.S. the federal government, but I was about to ask whether your job, or your requirement or your research goes beyond the bounds of the United States of America, and you have answered that, Dave, if I asked you.
Yeah.
But what's your typical duty like? A typical day on the job for you? What is it like?
A typical day, I have my own laboratory, and I train students, and I do some innovative work, if you want to call it that. When I got to the agency, there were a lot of people, looking at what's in the water, what's in the air, and what's in the land, and trying to draw a line back towards human risk assessment. And my training as a nurse in the medical field, I kind of wanted to change the paradigm, which I did. Is instead of looking at what's in those media, why not look at what's inside of humans, and especially the immune system will tell you what pathogens we're exposed to.
Okay.
So I use that and use saliva to tell me what antibodies people are exposed to.
So I guess, and your work at school would prepare you to conduct the kind of research that you've been conducting. But are you not directed by someone? Isn't someone directing you or telling you what to do, or is it basically?
No.
Really?
I have a group of people who work with me, but I am the lead principal investigator in my lab. So pretty much I'm in charge of that lab. I design the research, publish the papers, and basically I'm kind of autonomous. Understanding though that you have administrative people who are in charge of you, and you take advice.
Yes.
When you're working in a multidisciplinary team, you have experts in other fields like epidemiologists and virologists that work with me to put out a good product.
So you would be the expert that we would see testifying, let's say, to a congressional committee at the White House or somewhere. You are the head honcho.
Yes, in my lab.
All right, good.
If there were something that we had to go to Congress to talk about, then I would have to do it, or I'd have to prepare it for somebody else to do it.
And no government agency or operative can have influence over your reporting or your job. You basically cannot be influenced by any outside pressure.
No, well, let's do this way. Sometimes the research that some of the federal scientists do is kind of controversial, right? And sometimes politicians can have an outside influence. They can determine whether to kill it or to let it go. It depends on what it is. We always have to look at the cost-benefit, and now you do a cost-benefit analysis, because you want to make sure that you don't put undue burdens on businesses, because you want businesses to thrive, but the regulations that come out of the research, you want to make sure that it doesn't have put an undue cost, if you want to put it that way, on businesses, because then that would mean that we'd have some effect on jobs and so on.
All right. Now, for a Dominican son of the soil, coming from Dailies, to have achieved that much, you had to have been lucky, blessed, you had to have worked hard. put it in a package for the people listening, especially in Dominica, by way of motivation. This young boy, this young girl, this gentleman, this lady, this person listening to you right now, speak to them directly and tell them how it is that somebody like you could come from such humble beginnings and excel to the pinnacle of success that you have no doubt achieved.
Alex, there's one thing that I've learned, and I think my grandparents and my uncles and aunts, and even all the villagers in Davis and those in Roseau when I was at SMA, they always gave us this, this talk. Knowledge is power. Some of them did not go to high school. A lot of these guys didn't, people raised them. They didn't even finish primary school. But to see how they were able to live their lives, be satisfied with what they had, and the drive that they gave us, the motivation they gave us, is what really taught me that you can achieve anything you want to. Now, in Dominica, your universe may be small, and it may seem that that's all there is. But sometimes if you look beyond that, there's way more, right? And I think we should reach for that more, especially now in the days where we have social media and we have the internet. I think everything is possible.
In terms of the program that we do, I know that you've listened to one or two. What do you think of Diaspora Link, and where do you think we can go with this? Do you have any public advice for us?
I would remember I was at VBS at one time, right? I was a reporter, so I know the power of information. And a lot of us, when we leave Dominica, we don't leave Dominica because we don't love there. I want to make that very clear. And sometimes, like when you have a best friend, you may not talk to them every day, but you know, and they know that you care about them. And it's the same with us here. We still have to go through those struggles. We have to make roads, that have never been built. So basically, you just have to make your own path. And in doing that, you sacrifice a lot. So I think it's a good thing that the way you link people back to Dominica and to their communities, to let them know that, you know what, almost every day we think about Dominica, we think about our families, we think about our friends, and sometimes it may be cost prohibitive to try to get in contact with everybody. As you know, now with the internet, easier, social media, so you can talk to them on social media like Facebook. But I think it's good to bring people back to let their voices ring to their folks, and let them know that we're not just. You may hear a lot of people talking about even the presidential candidates in the U.S. that they're a bunch of criminals immigrating into the United States, be it from Mexico or wherever. That really is not true. The statistics don't prove that anyways, because a lot of people who come up there, they come to do something with their lives and to better society as a whole, their family and society. And I think that's what a lot of us are doing.
So generally, there is a thriving constituency of Dominicans living in the diaspora that should be taken seriously and should basically be given the rights and responsibilities as Dominicans, and be given the chance to contribute to Dominica as every other Dominican. That's basically what you're saying.
Yes.
All right.
I believe that.
Dr. Augustine, our time has come and gone. I suspect we will have you on sometime later, but that's all the time that we have to spare on the program for today. I want to thank you for the privilege and the honor of having this discourse with you, and I'm looking forward to many of those discussions in the future. I wish you well in your job, And I only wish one thing, that you could maybe employ a Dominican in your lab sometime in the future. Do you see anyone that you wish to employ? Do you have vacancies? So how do we qualify?
We usually have vacancies, but the minute I would find a Dominican, as a matter of fact, I have a Trinidadian working in the lab with me now.
Close enough.
Trading her. Huh?
That's close enough. Well, it would be nice to have a Dominican. Let's work on that if we can.
Yeah, it would. And the minute I find one, I'm sure we'll have them, and would be glad to have them.
Okay, Dr. Gustin, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alex. And to all Dominicans, have a great Saturday and weekend.
All right, thanks again. Dr. Swinburne Augustine, our guest today on Diaspora Link, and what a guest he turned out to be. This is so nice having you, and this is our program brought to you compliments Bullseye Family.